Oh, I almost ripped the book. That would have been good. Hey fellow fiction fanatics, I'm Chase. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This tag was originally done by Earl Grey Books, so I'll link their video down below. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, so the first question is, what is the best book I've read so far? So for that, I'm going to choose The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is such a fantastic novel. I loved everything about it. The magic system was so cool and so interesting. I love the characters and the adventure and the plot. Everything was just so intriguing and cool, and I loved the character development and friendship. This was so good, and I absolutely recommend that you pick this up. The next question is, what is the best sequel that I've read so far? And that would have to be The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This is the second book in the Truly Devious series, and I absolutely loved the first book, and this one was so good as well. I love being back with Stevie and just getting to uncover everything that she learns. Each book just keeps getting better and better, and I can't wait to read The Hand on the Wall. I love this series, and I'm so intrigued by it. It's so good, I don't even know what else to say about it. If you haven't picked this up, I definitely recommend that you do. Question number 3 is, what is a new release that you haven't read yet? So I'm going to name 2 for this. The first one is My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janies, which is the third book in this collection that they've written. The first one is My Lady Jane, which is talking about Lady Jane Grey, who had a very short reign, but they kind of give her a alternate twist. They just fill their stories with humor, and it's like, here's a sprinkle of history, and the rest is just chaos and hilarity and just fabulous. And then the second one they wrote is My Plain Jane, which is the story of Jane Eyre, but it's Jane Eyre meets Ghostbusters. I didn't love it as much as I did My Lady Jane, but I still thought it was pretty decent, and so I'm really excited for My Calamity Jane when it comes out, because the last 2 books were just so fun. I'm just super excited to read that. And then the second book that I really want to get to that's out now that I haven't been able to read because my libraries are closed and I just can't get my hands on these new books that I really want to read, but the second one is Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This is the third book in the Once Upon a Con companion novels. The first one was the Cinderella retelling, the second one was the Prince and the Pauper retelling, and the third one is going to be obviously Beauty and the Beast. I can't wait for this one because I love Beauty and the Beast retellings, so I'm excited for this. I mean, I'm a book nerd, the main character is a book nerd. I'm just excited. Those are the 2 new releases I really hope to get to as soon as I'm able to. Question number 4 is, what is my most anticipated book for the second half of the year? I have 2. One is The Tower of Nero by Rick Riordan. It is the 5th and final book for the Trials of Apollo series. I'm both nervous and excited, and I'm doing my reread of the Trials of Apollo, and I don't want it to end, but I'm so excited to read this book at the same time. And the second one is Cinderella is Dead by Callan Byron. I don't even fully know how to explain this one. This was pitched as Black Cinderella falls in love with Merida and takes down the patriarchy. That just sounds phenomenal, and I'm super excited about it. I really hope to get to it this year. I can't wait for it to come out. Question number 5 is, what was my biggest disappointment this year? And unfortunately, that's gonna have to be The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. It just really fell flat for me, which was so disappointing because this was one of my most anticipated books to read this year, and it just, I don't know, it just wasn't very good. So it told the story from like 2 different timelines. You were seeing what led up to the murder trial, but then in the end it was just like, just kidding, this is what actually happened. I felt like everything I just read was pointless. It threw me off and I didn't really like it. Maybe I was just expecting a little too much from it, but ultimately I was just disappointed. Question number 6 is, what is the most surprising book I read this year? And for that I'm choosing A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kemmerer. So this book was a roller coaster of emotions for me, because at first I was kind of thrown off by the fact that we got 2 different perspectives than we did in the first book. I didn't really love them at first. I wasn't behind the romance, and then something just flipped a switch and I fell in love with these characters. I thought the story was so intriguing and so cool, but I was just really surprised by how much my feelings changed for this book. It just wasn't what I was expecting going in. It took me a while to get into it, but once I was in, I was for it, and I'm so excited to continue on with this series. Question number 7 is favorite new author. So for that, I'm going to pick Tomi Adeyemi, who wrote Children of Blood and Bone. Like I said before, I absolutely love this book. I just thought her writing was so cool and so intriguing and so interesting, and I'm actually reading Children of Virtue and Vengeance right now, and I'm loving that as well, so she's definitely one of my new favorite authors. Question number 8 is, who is your new fictional crush? I'd have to say my new fictional crush is Lincoln from Chaotic Good by Whitney Gardner. He's just an all-around great guy. He's the DM for their Dungeons and Dragons campaign, so he's a nerd. He's just so sweet and kind and caring and fun, and I mean, who doesn't love a nerd, right? So he would have to be my new fictional crush. Question number 9 is, who is your new favorite character? So for that, I'm choosing Amari from The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I absolutely love the characters in this book, but I loved Amari the most because I thought her character development was so great. I love that in the beginning you just see her as a princess and she just grows into her own strength and sees that she's far more powerful than she's been taught to believe she is. Zaylee was also so amazing. I love these two characters together so much. I love Zaylee from the start, but with Amari, I got to see her grow and become this just amazing woman that she is, and that's why I chose Amari as my new favorite character. Question number 10 is, what is a book that made you cry? So for that, I'm choosing Never Forever by L.R. Johnson. This has a lot going on. This is the story of Brianna. She moves to England to attend Cambridge University. She's had a lot happen to her, and you have to learn about everything that she's been through and everything that she continues to have to go through. There were a lot of moments that made me tear up and just really made me feel for these characters. Question number 11 is, what is a book that made you happy? That I chose The Hidden Oracle by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Trials of Apollo series, and this is a reread for me. I just forgot how amazing this book was. These characters are hilarious and this story is so good, and I loved being back into the Percy Jackson world and getting to see old favorites and new characters that I grew to love. I'm super excited to be continuing on with my reread of this series. This made me so happy. I mean, look how many orange tabs I have. That's my happy tab. It just made me laugh. I enjoyed it so much. Question 12 is, what is your favorite book to movie adaptation that you've seen this year? So for that, I'm actually going to pick Dumplin' by Jodi Meadows. So I read Dumplin' this year, and I would probably give Dumplin', just the book alone, 3 stars. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it for the most part, but there were just a few things that didn't make it a 5-star book for me. And when I finished the book, I just really wanted to see what the Netflix adaptation was like, so I watched it right away. I really enjoyed the Netflix adaptation. I thought it was done really well and added to the story. I love that in the movie they were able to rekindle this relationship between Willow Dean and her mom, and in the book I just didn't feel like that had happened. And I also loved that they got rid of the unnecessary love triangle, even though it wasn't really a love triangle. She was leading a guy on, and I didn't appreciate that in the book, so I was glad that they got rid of that in the movie. The only thing I thought the book did far better than the movie was the romance. I felt like that was just sort of placed on the back burner in the movie. I would probably give the movie like 4 stars, so together I gave it 3.75 stars. Question 13 is, what is your favorite book review that you've done this year? For that, I'm actually going to have to pick Truly Devious. I reread that this year in anticipation of reading The Vanishing Stair, and I really loved doing the review of that book. I just really loved describing everything about that novel, and I thought it was so good, and I just really enjoyed being able to share my opinions on that book. So I'll link my Goodreads review of that book down below. Question 14 is, what is the most beautiful cover that you bought this year? So for that, I'm picking House of Salt and Sorrow by Aaron A. Craig. I mean, this is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm really intrigued by this cover and by the synopsis. Because it has that sort of creepy vibe, I'm waiting until the fall to actually get to this book, but I'm really excited to get to it. And last but certainly not least is, what are the books that you need to get to this year? So I'll just name the books that I'm making a priority that I have to get to this year. So the first one I need to get to is Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the second book in the Nevermore series. I am super excited to get to Hollowpox later this year, but I need to reread this one so I can refresh my memory so that I can jump right into that book once it comes out. So then I need to continue on with my reread of The Trials of Apollo. So I need to reread The Dark Prophecy. Following that, I'll reread The Burning Maze, which is the third book. This one left me with a huge book hangover, and that's why I wasn't able to get to the fourth book last year, but I will be getting to it this year. Then I'll finally get to the fourth book in this series, which is The Tyrant's Tomb. I'm both excited and worried about what goes on in this book, but I'm going to get to it, so I'll be all caught up and prepared to read The Tower of Nero when it comes out later on this year. And those are all the books I have to get to. Let me know if you've read any of these books, because I'd love to hear what you thought about them. I'd love to know what books you've read so far this year, so let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already done this tag, I tag you to do this video. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share the love. I'll see you next time. Bye!